Hello, YouTube. So Elon Musk has just sent the Twitterverse into a absolute tailspin by saying, I'm just going to buy Twitter for $40-50 billion. Just write you a check, no problem. Take it or leave it. Let's see what our expert analysts have for us, shall we?
Here with me, CNN Chief Business Correspondent Christine Romans and CNN Chief Media Correspondent Brian.
So I just want you to bear in mind, she is the Chief Business Correspondent here. Just for future reference.
Stelter, host of Reliable Sources. What just happened, Brian?
Twitter's now in a very public fight with its biggest shareholder, who is also the richest man in the world, who of course is, invested in Tesla and so many other companies, and he wants to be invested more in Twitter. He says he wants to pay $54.20 a share to buy up the rest of Twitter that he doesn't have.
Yeah, so basically he owns some of Twitter shares and he's offering to buy the rest. Personally, I think this is likely just being done as a publicity stunt, but let's see.
Which he very much enjoys. So is this all a troll or is this very real? Well, it's real enough that he filed with the SEC. It's real enough that he's saying this is my best and final offer. It's real enough that investors are now wondering what's going to happen if he pulls out and sells all the shares he already has. It's a huge problem for Twitter right now.
All right, I'm back with you.
And for that, I'm really not so sure it is a problem for Twitter, in that the company is exactly as market viable whether Elon Musk sells his shares or not. And yeah, if he buys it, will that solve any of the intrinsic problems with Twitter? And I think the answer is no. No, most of the problems with Twitter are intrinsic, not how it's actually run. But whatever. Well, let's see what the lady here's got for us. This is the business correspondent, of course.
Got money to do it. He can.
So bizarre.
Right. I mean, the 420 coding and everything. Yeah.
He's got money to do it. He can do it. Usually something like this, you try to secure the financing to take something private. He can just write a check or wire the money over. I mean, he's got so much money. This is what he said to the board.
No, he can't. He doesn't have the money. And you might think that that's crazy. Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet with some $200 billion. And what was this? Year-to-date losses of $70 billion? Just with what he's lost this year, he could have bought 1.5 Twitters. Now, you might think that, there's no conceivable way that you lose $71 billion. And indeed, you can't. Nor is this number here of 200 billion realistic, in that the lion's share of Elon Musk's wealth is tied up in a 16% share. He owns 16% of Tesla, and Tesla is just massively overvalued at about $1 trillion. So of this 200 billion, at least 160 billion is tied up in a massive stock bubble, with the remaining whatever being in other companies, probably also significantly overvalued, things like SpaceX, whatever. The only way that Elon Musk can sensibly just get 40 billion, he doesn't just have 40 billion in the bank where he can just write a check. The only way he could do this is sensibly by selling Tesla stock. And that from a financial point of view, that would make an awful lot of sense. I just want to knock this idea on the head that, he's just got 200 billion sat in the bank. Well, no, there's only 50 billion in notes circulating. Yeah, this isn't just money that he's got in the bank that he can write a check for. So does he even have the financing secured? I doubt it. But this does bring us on to, the valuation of Tesla. Is this $1 trillion valuation realistic? And the answer is no. It's probably something like 50 to 100 times overvalued, at which point, selling something that's 50 to 100 times overvalued actually makes an awful lot of sense. But the thing is that would generate you tens of billions of dollars. You need to be able to spend that tens of billions of dollars, because you can't just put it in the bank. So you're buying something which will hold its value, like Twitter, would actually make a lot of sense like that. You're essentially exchanging monopoly money for real money. And then all these poor schmucks who actually have their their money in Tesla, well, maybe going to be a bad day. So yeah, this thing where he's lost all this money to date is basically this slip in the stock price. Stock price goes down by 30%. Elon Musk's value goes down by 30%. That's how he manages to lose $70 billion this year. And yeah, roughly, yeah, I think Elon Musk said it was overvalued at about $200 a stock or something. And yeah, now this is just crazy. The rough spikes you had here. This was some company announcing that they were, as a rental company, they were going to buy a load of Teslas. Then the price went down. Then he opened a mega factory or whatever, and the price went down again. Anyway, so the number you usually use to get a ballpark feel for whether a company is overvalued or something is the price to earnings ratio. And yeah, if you were to value Tesla like it is, which is basically a car manufacturer, of which Elon Musk was not actually a founder. He just was, he bought into the company. It was founded by other people. Anyway, it's an irrelevance. Anyway, so if we were to value it more like a regular car company, like Ford, for instance, where the price to earnings ratio is a much more pedestrian 3 rather than 200. And the market cap is, whatever, 50 billion versus Tesla, which is 1,000 billion. So Tesla as a company is worth about 50 times as much as Ford. 20 times as much as Ford. But how much cars do they make? Well, Ford make about 6 million cars a year, call it 5. And and Tesla make about 1 million cars per year. So yeah, if you were to value Tesla as a sort of standard car manufacturer, which basically it is, it's somewhere 50 to 100 times overvalued, that sort of thing. So yeah, offloading the Tesla stock, this sort of price would be sensible. The problem is, of course, that when it's a massive bubble, if Elon Musk does sell a load of his stock, the price will just tank. So yeah, there is that. But yeah, so Elon Musk absolutely cannot just write a check for $200 billion and wire them the money. And this goes on.
In the to figure out, but to the end, this is my best and final offer. I am not playing this back and forth game. I've moved straight to the end.
Yeah, this all has a very performative element to it. This isn't being done because he wants to buy the company. This is because he wants to be seen saying that he wants to buy the company. Well, that's my reading of it anyway. I mean, might be wrong here, but it doesn't look real to me.
Here, it's a high price. Your shareholders will love it. If the deal doesn't work, given that I don't have confidence in management and I don't believe it can drive necessary change in the public market, I would reconsider my position as a shareholder. Meaning he's
yeah, so it's all sort of boombastic. It's got a very performative element to it. Yeah, the more so seeing as where would he actually get the money to do this from? And then there's this thing that, would Elon Musk, even if he were to, the Fox News thing is even worse. I'm not even going to go onto that today because reasons. I'm on the wrong window.
Future of civilization.
So, yeah, if you take a look at Elon Musk, of course, he's asked why he's buying Twitter. And, of course, it's all done for the benefit of civilization.
Trusted and broadly inclusive is extremely important to the future of civilization.
Yeah, so this idea that he's all doing it, it's completely selfless. You go down to the comments on this, and they're bloody horrific. That we're not worthy to be in the presence of this man. I think he actually says money's not important here.
You've described yourself.
I don't care about the economics at all.
Yeah. At which point, I'm gonna call bullshit on that one. And he pimps himself out as this sort of free speech absolutist, unless of course you are actually a Tesla employee doing videos on your own time about Tesla full self-driving. Then you're just going to get fired because he owns the company and yeah, he doesn't like you saying things about the company that he doesn't like in public. So yeah, there is that. Um, yeah, and even if you ignore his track record like this, there are intrinsic problems to Twitter, which I would often describe Twitter. Twitter is just cancer, and a lot of it is intrinsic in that with Twitter you're limited to whatever 200 characters or something. There is a limit to how much sensible information you can send out in these sound bites, and the any nuance can either be intentionally or unintentionally missed, and so Twitter discussions very rapidly degrade. And even if there is nuance in there, people just ignore it, and so it becomes very much a slogan contest. Is basically Twitter. The idea that there's any great bastion, this is some great pillar of free speech, is mostly bullshit. And yeah, would this is before you get onto the grey areas. There's always going to be grey areas depending on. In America, public figures, you can say basically whatever the hell you want about them, and that's fair game. Not true in every country around the world. So whose rules? Do you have different Twitter rules for different countries, or or even grayer areas where, let's say, they're not public figures, and they're only famous because, or they're only actually known at all because their kids were shot in a school shooting or something, and someone's spreading conspiracy theories about them. Would you allow that on your platform? And there's a gazillion grey areas like this. And what was Elon Musk's sole contribution so far? Well, we'll have an edit button, which is probably the worst thing ever, in that now you can change what you said on Twitter. So now you need a timeline history of before and after edits. And yeah, I mean, it's a mess even as it stands. And whilst in terms of concepts, yeah, I mean, I'm all for the sort of free speech absolutist stuff, but at some point that meets with reality. And this goes back to the very earliest days of things like 4chan, when the first real schism was between those who thought it was okay to put kiddie pictures on there and those who didn't. And yeah, so free speech absolutist, but there are always going to be some rules of engagement on any platform. And honestly, I don't think Elon Musk would, even if he were to buy it, it's going to change nothing. And this Fox News thing here, this is a rabbit hole on a whole different level. But seeing as I've gone on for 30 minutes already, I'm going to call it quits here. So yeah, if you enjoyed that, drop a thumbs up on it, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.